'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. You've made it through Halloween. Now try and survive Christmas. Silent night. Deadly night.
The soothing sounds of Christmas music. Welcome to Flashback Horror Movie Podcast. I am your host, the Prime Minister of Sinister, the Prime Minister of Santa Claus, I don't know what, Don Nice. And with me is Triple P, the Pajama Pants Playa. And due to the fact that it's finally turned the calendar to December and we haven't been with you a while, we decided to throw out Silent Night, Deadly Night. What's going on, my brother?
Dude, nothing much, my dude. I've got to say, that intro music is like the greatest elevator / Christmas / Silent Night, Deadly Night slasher music. I love it.
I could see somebody getting stabbed right now as we listen to that.
Yeah, I know. I could see someone, a hot-breasted woman getting impaled on a pair of antlers.
Right. So how cold is it there, man? It's freezing here in Ohio.
Dude, it's actually been okay here. Yeah. Like, it was 52 degrees yesterday here.
Oh, man. I would have loved that.
Yeah, I know. I heard it was snowing in Texas. I don't know if that's true.
God. Yeah, I saw.
Like in San Antonio, I heard
crazy.
It's snowing.
That's nuts. People down there are probably freaking out. They don't know what to do down there.
Probably shit their pants, man. Like they don't even know what snow is in San Antonio.
Right. You know, one year I drove to Nashville, Tennessee for a job interview from Ohio, and they got like 6 inches of snow, which is really no big deal. I'm sure where you're at, and it's no big deal where I'm at. But it freaking shut down the city, man. I mean, it was bonkers. I'm going to this interview no matter what, right? And I'm on the interstate, and there's literally no cars on the road but me, and 6 inches, 6 inches of snow on the interstate. It was the weirdest thing I'd ever experienced in my life. But I know it's so weird. I would love
to have been have a camera on you, just your fucking face, like oh shit.
I'm the one dude on the road going holy shit.
Yeah, that's always you feel like you're like, oh man, I'm the only one. Right, I'm gonna be this idiot on the news. They found me. 7 hours later.
Did the world come to an end and I'm the only one left? What's going on?
Yeah, you're feeling like Will Smith in I Am Legend or something.
Right. So, anyways, I know it's been a couple weeks since we talked. Which I think through the holidays we might have to go every couple weeks. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It is what it is. I mean, it gets busy around this time of year,
Yeah, we both are going to be off at the same time for about 2 weeks. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get a couple in. I don't know. We'll have to play it by ear. But the holidays get pretty crazy. I'm sure it's that way around your place too. So, but anyway, did you get a chance to check anything out this week? Or these 2 weeks, I guess. I've been so busy. I haven't had a chance to watch anything. I'm trying to think if I watched anything at all, and I don't think I have. I think I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2 a couple weeks ago, and we haven't talked since then, which was pretty cool, but that's not horror. So, did you get a chance to check anything out?
I did, actually. I actually watched this movie had a lot of buzz coming around it, and I actually stumbled upon it one night on Showtime. It's called The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Oh, yeah. I've seen it.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was coming from, I'm not sure if it was a Norwegian director. I'm not sure where he's from, but he also is the guy that made Troll Hunter, which came out a few years ago, and I really enjoyed that. That was like a really fun shot on video horror movie about these like ginormous trolls that people are trying to hunt. And I think if you shine the light on them, they turn to stone. And like it was a really awesome, hokey little movie. Yeah. And this movie was actually, I thought, a lot of fun. You had Brian Cox in as like this lead mortician and his son, and like basically they get this body and they're trying to find out the way that she died, and then all this crazy shit ensues, and it's like a really good little movie. At least I thought. What did you think?
Yeah, man, I really dug it. It has Emil Hirsch in it too, doesn't he? Doesn't he play the son? Brian Cox?
Yes, Emil. I was good. I couldn't think of the son's name, so I just had him as the son.
and I like both of those guys. I've loved Brian Cox since I saw him in Manhunter way back in '85 or whatever it was, and I really like him a lot. And Emil Hirsch, I dig him. I think he was in Wanted. Is he in that movie Wanted?
I believe so.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I really like this movie. It was one of those ones where. It was super, super creepy at the very beginning, and then it just kind of, had like a, I don't know if you want to call it a twist. I guess it's a twist, but man, it kept my attention, which is really surprising with newer horror movies. Actually, I found a few over the last, say year or so that I've really dug. But yeah, this is one of them. This is a very, I guess amongst horror fans, it's probably pretty well known. But other than that, it's probably not a very well known movie. So if anybody's listening and you haven't seen it, I think this is an absolute must see. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think this movie actually has a lot of good character interaction between the father and the son. I think they really worked well together, and they had a really good chemistry. And I think some of the things done by the director is really good in this movie. Like some of the tension he builds. He uses some creepy like 1950s music in it to kind of build more tension. Like he really knew how to build tension, and he really knew how to play with the lights and the angles and stuff. And I thought he did a really good job behind the director's chair. There is a twist in the movie that, for what it's worth, I don't know if I was for it or against it. Like I was watching it and I was like, oh man, I hope they tell you what it is. But normally I'm the kind of guy that goes, I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Right.
And then after they told me, I was like, actually, I didn't want to know.
right, no doubt.
So I felt like a complete hypocrite. I was like, actually, I really wish they hadn't said anything. I thought it was better this way. So I don't know. I think it was a really solid effort and a prime candidate for like one of the best of. I think it came out in 2016.
Yeah, I think so.
Or really early this year. So I thought it was a really, really solid movie, though, for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. Definitely go check it out. It gets a 6.8 on IMDb. If anybody gives a shit about that, I don't really base much on that. But some people really base their opinions on that, or whether or not they're going to watch it. So if that interests you, it gets a 6.8. That's definitely a little high, but it's still it's a solid 6 easy.
Yeah, totally worth the watch. It's new, it's different, it's a little unique, and I thought it was pretty well executed.
Yep. All right, anything else?
I watched one more. I watched this movie is actually from 3 different countries.
Oh.
It was from, I believe, Korea, Japan, and oh man, I'm gonna forget the last one. I don't even maybe Hong Kong? No, I'm not sure. I don't think it's Hong Kong. But the movie's called 3 Extremes.
Oh yeah, I've seen that cover before, but I've never seen it. Is it worth a check out?
Dude, it is amazing.
Really?
Like I've seen the movie a few times now. I think I've seen it 2-3 times now.
Right.
And it just gets better every time I watch it.
Huh.
Basically, what it is it's 3 different directors from 3 different foreign countries, and they all have their own little anthology segment of about 40 minutes or so.
Oh, wow.
So the first one is great. This first one is about this woman who she wants to become younger again. She has like all these wrinkles and stuff. She used to be this big television star, but now because she's older, she can't really do much about it. Like she's pretty much just older and she's out of work now.
Sure.
So she goes to this magical witch doctor lady who says, I have these special dumplings I make, and they basically can make you younger again. And so she comes there once a week and gets these dumplings, and she starts becoming younger looking again. And like she can't figure out why. She wants to know what's in these dumplings. And let's just say the reveal does not disappoint. I I nearly threw up myself. It was absolutely the sickest thing I've ever. I was like, holy shit. So if anybody that
Nice.
first, it's classic body horror. Really, really good segment. There's also one called Cut. And it's about this director who wakes up and he's like, I think he's basically tied to a chair, and it's one of the guy that has him like in captive is one of his extras that was used in all his movies, and he's all disgruntled and mad because he never got the push for a lead role, and his wife is like in this weird contraption on the piano, and she's like a piano player. And the guy says, he's like, I'm going to cut your wife's finger off every 10 minutes if you don't, give me what I want. And it's absolutely crazy. And it's great, like Rod Serling dialogue, man. And it's super over the top. The villain is super over the top. Okay. Really, really funny segment. And then the last segment is more of like an atmospheric horror segment about this girl that was molested when she was a child, and she was part of the circus, and like it takes place in the winter. It's really, really, really atmospheric. I think Takashi Miike directs the last segment, and it's really good. You have really one of each. You have like a body horror, a really over the top, like kind of slasher torture porn,
right.
And then you have like the atmospheric Suspiria like giallo, even though it's not a giallo.
Sure,
it's like it's a feeling that a giallo gives, man. I couldn't. It has the John Grande stamp of approval if that exists.
There, yeah,
like
definitely.
I love this movie. I cannot wait to buy it.
Wow, man, and I'm kind of following along on IMDb, and it gets a 7. But one of the things that interested me, you're talking about the episode Cut, which has Byung-Hyun Lee in it, who is the dude that was in I Saw the Devil. Have you seen that?
Yes. Oh my God, another phenomenal movie.
Yeah, another fantastic. So I mean,
it's Chan-wook Park, right? That's who directed that segment.
I believe so. Yeah, I got to go back here, but yeah, I mean, I don't know why I've put it off. I don't know why I've put off seeing that, but it's been out for quite some time, hasn't it? I mean, it came out, 2004, so it's been out for quite some time. And I'm trying to look to see who. The directors are Fruit Chan, Takashi Miike, and Chan-wook Park. Yep, exactly.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I'm a Miike guy, so Takashi Miike is incredible. Even if the story, he's kind of like a Argento a little bit. Even if the story's not the greatest, it's still worth watching. Yes. And Chan-wook Park's the same way. I mean, I'll watch anything by him. I believe he did Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance or Mrs. Vengeance. All those Old Boy. Didn't he do Old Boy? And
yes.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, if anybody who directed Old Boy, I'll watch anything that motherfucker does. So.
Exactly. And it's like it's one of those movies that really it almost like listens to the horror fan when we say we want different, we want
right.
Unique, and this movie has it. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Cool.
And I think that's it really hits home. It's I love this movie, man. Cool. This is like arguably one of my favorite foreign movies for sure.
Wow, I'm definitely going to check that out. Like I said, I've just put it off for so long for no real reason either. It's not like I heard anything bad about it or anything. I just hadn't done it. So, yeah. So I'm definitely going to check that out. Cool, man. That's awesome. And you said there's 3 episodes. It reminds me of kind of like like the Creep Show thing, but from the
yeah, it's like I guess it's the Japanese / Korean / version of Creep Show. But these stories were really, really well executed.
Cool.
And I believe there's a sequel to it called 3 Extremes 2.
Yep.
But weirdly enough, I think it came out before this. So I don't know if this is considered the sequel. It's the weirdest thing in the world.
Yeah, it does. That is so fucking weird. It came out in 2002, and oh boy, I don't know. That's crazy. Huh.
That's when I start scratching my head. I'm like, what are these people thinking?
Time traveling son of a bitch.
The sequel came out first.
Yeah, that's some Back to the Future shit right there.
It is. Yeah, definitely is.
Anyways, cool. Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah, definitely go check those out. I'm going to for sure. Anything else? Did you get a chance to? I know you've been super busy with school and everything, so.
Yeah, those are the only 2 I got a chance. I have been really busy with school, but I did watch Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is the topic on hand today, which I'm super stoked about.
Absolutely, man. Well, tell me a little bit about your history with this movie. When did you catch? Did you catch this young, or did you catch it a little bit later? Tell me about it.
I think this one I caught a little bit later. I actually I have the fabled double feature, the original like double feature DVD.
Nice.
That for a long time it was like over $100 to get.
Right.
Like I remember it was a lot, and I bought it before it went out of print. It was very, very short period of time in print. So I got it really cheap. I got it for like $5, and then I remember seeing online, oh shit, it's over $100, you know?
No kidding.
So going back, when I first watched this one, I freaking absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I really didn't know much going in other than I thought it was a cool title, and I always thought that poster was iconic.
Hell yeah.
Of Santa going down the chimney with an axe. I was always like, that is fucking badass.
Yeah, right.
I actually would really like that poster somewhere. Like, I would love to put that somewhere in my house. And I always actually liked reading into the rep that this movie had, because this was a really controversial film. Like, people bring up Cannibal Holocaust, and absolutely it was controversial.
Sure.
But like, this movie actually was pulled from the theaters because some kids' mothers were like so mortified that they could have Santa Claus as a killer, which is the furthest thing from the truth. It's not really what the movie is about.
Right,
it's basically read into all the publicity and shit. But I always thought that was cool that this movie kind of had a rep of that forbidden factor. And that's one of the reasons I love horror. It's that forbidden factor when you watch something, you're like, I shouldn't be watching this, but hell it, I am, you know?
Right.
And it's like, it's awesome. But yeah, I always really was a big fan of this movie. Great kills, great gore. I mean, awesome looking women. I mean, this movie really has it all. It's like a perfect slasher in my mind. But what are your memories with this one, man?
Well, I remember seeing it early in its VHS release days. So it was probably one of the first, VHS horror movies, slasher movies, I guess, that I saw. And obviously, you talk about the reputation this movie has, and which absolutely blows my mind. People are so ridiculous. And, I grew up in a family like that. They probably would have went out and protested this movie or something. But, I mean, my whole thing about it was who's going to see this that's under 17? You know what I'm saying? Because it's a rated R movie. So I always thought it was kind of, we don't want our kids seeing it. Well, why would you let your kids see this? You know what I mean? I think it's funny how sometimes religious people don't want to take responsibility for their kids and, those kind of things. I just find that very, very interesting. But yeah, I love this movie. And I have to be totally, totally honest with you. The first time I saw it, I like the movie. I mean, obviously it's a good, but I couldn't get Linnea Quigley out of my head. So this movie was the Linnea, the first time I ever saw Linnea naked, topless, I guess I should say, in a movie, you know what I mean? So as a, what did it come out in 85 or so on VHS, so I would have been 12 or 13 years old. So, I was like telling people, hey, you got to see this movie, but it really didn't have a whole lot to do with the movie. So,
yeah,
but,
I know.
You know what I mean?
I think it's because she answers the door, those awesome short shorts,
right,
and she's like, "Hello," and then
right.
the cat. It's just like, oh my god.
I thought it was funny that she decided to put on shorts over her underwear, but didn't put on a shirt. I just thought that was hilarious. Like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Right. But again,
Return of the Living Dead, anything.
Oh, I know, right?
Never has a shirt on.
Yeah. Well, I just fell in love with her there, and I had to see everything that she was in after that. You know what I mean? And they progressively got worse and worse. But that's that's kind of the way horror went at that point. But I guess we should get back to the movie.
Yeah.
A little bit. We'll get back to Linnea.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get back to that later. but yeah,
do that.
Yeah. I mean. This movie is a very, very interesting movie, in my opinion, because of the way that it's laid out. Now, this was after the super slasher boom. You know what I mean? After the 81, 82, this movie came out in 1984, and it was written oddly. I mean, because they were trying to take advantage of that. The whole slasher thing. Did you think that? Did you notice that there was a difference between this and others? Say, I don't know what you want to call them, super slashers after Friday the 13th. Did you notice a different, you knew who the character was the whole time. He was kind of, it was kind of understandable what he was doing. There was a long time before everything started to happen. You know what I'm saying? Did you notice that, or is that not even anything that entered your mind as you watched it this time around?
No, I did notice it, because this movie actually, I think at times is unintentionally really fucking funny.
Oh, sure.
But I don't think it's trying to be a funny movie.
Yeah.
I really believe this movie is trying to be serious. I think this movie takes itself very seriously. Mm-hmm. Like, there's punish.
Right.
Like, I don't think that's supposed to be like make you laugh, but I think it's so like, oh my God, come on, you know.
Right.
But there are some scenes in this with Mother Superior, who's absolutely a prime candidate for one of the biggest bitches in horror movie history.
Yeah.
Like definitely top 5.
Yeah, no doubt.
You just wanna drop kick this woman.
Right.
But oh my God, she's so horrible. And like, there's a scene where they tie him to his bed.
Yeah.
There's a scene where like he's in an orphanage for people who haven't seen this, and she ties him to his bed. And there's one scene where she catches this boy and girl making love, and she kind of comes in the room, and you don't see what happens, but you know all hell broke loose.
Right.
And like, I don't know, man. Like, I just thought this movie always was really taking itself very seriously. And there are parts where you do kind of, you're like, holy shit, you know, this is crazy. But I would, you know, give Mother Superior the assist with that one.
Right.
She is just awful.
Yeah, she is. She's a bitch of epic proportions. But you know, one of the things that I know, and you know, we've talked about so many slasher movies, John, that you know that this time around I look at them a little bit more critically. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking at this time. I'm not talking about camera work or direction or anything like that. But I really think that the writer, who I've actually seen an interview, I got the, you know this already, but I got the Scream Factory collector's edition of this just in the mail a couple days ago with the figure and the poster and all that kind of stuff, which is really, really cool. I'm not real happy with Scream Factory. I would recommend anybody who is thinking about dealing with Scream Factory to not just go to Amazon and buy their products. We were supposed to get it 2 weeks ago, and it didn't come out. It didn't come, you know, whatever. Anyways, that's a whole other thing. I'll rant on.
What happened? Did you pre-order it?
Yeah. I pre-ordered it the day that they announced it on September 7th, and we were supposed to get it, you know, 2 weeks early, and they didn't ship it. I mean, I got it 2 days after it released, which is fucking ridiculous if you ask me. I paid a lot of money for it, which I don't usually do. I usually don't. I really don't spend a lot of money like that, you know, for the special, super awesome special editions. You know what I mean? But I thought that the figure was really, really cool. But anyways, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get off on that tangent. But
no worries.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. If you paid extra money for something early and it didn't come until late, that's absolutely a gripe, man. I'm right there with you.
All right, good. All right, so I'm not crazy. Well, I am, but it has nothing to do with that. The writer of this movie, I think he had a real problem with religion, or at least the Catholic religion. That's kind of how I gather. And you know, maybe he grew up in a school that was Catholic, you know, and he had to deal with nuns. And I've heard a lot of bad stories about that kind of stuff. So I think that maybe had a lot to do with that. Now, do I consider Santa Claus a religious figure? Absolutely not. You know, I don't really think he has anything to do with religion. But, you know, I think that, you know, at first you feel for the character of Billy. You know what I mean? You know, you kind of understand what he's doing, and, you know, you kind of root for him a little bit. You know, I don't know if I feel that way about a lot of slashers. You know, I don't know. You know, we knew right from the get-go that Jason was, you know, going to be somebody that we didn't want to root for. You know what I mean? Or Michael Myers or Freddy or somebody like that. But this guy, you know, for the whole, first 45 minutes of the movie or so, it's building him up as to why you understand. You know, it's kind of like a Rob Zombie version of a slasher movie. You know, you understand why he's why he's going crazy. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I feel like I don't know how far we want to go into this right now. I mean, you know, in the progression of how we do this, but like Pam's death, who's the cute girl that the guy in the back, I never remember that guy's name, is making out with, and you know, that's what kind of sets off Billy. I think her death was, you know, unwarranted. Like, she didn't deserve to die. Like, you know what I'm saying? She didn't really do anything to deserve to die. And I think most of the time in slasher movies, that's kind of the way it is. You know, you've done something, or at least there's something somebody can grab a hold of to go, yeah, you know, you need to get it, or something like that, you know. But even though it was unwarranted, it was necessary so that we didn't feel for Billy. I mean, am I reading too much into it, or did you kind of see that?
No, I see what you're saying. I think what's great about this movie, you're right. Like, it really does build his sympathetic factors for a good 45 minutes. I mean, you the movie opens, they're just driving to see their grandfather who can't speak. And then they all leave the room, and then it's one of the most funny scenes you'll ever see. And he's just like comes out of his like comatose state and just goes, "Christmas is the scariest goddamn day." And I just started dying every time I see that.
That dude was awesome.
Yeah, I know.
He was great.
And then it cuts to them driving home, and there's like the department store Santa that's robbing this place, this convenience store, and then he basically runs out, kills his mother and father, and it's pretty graphic. It's pretty brutal stuff. I mean, he doesn't rape the mother, but you kind of get the idea that he was going to, or he might have wanted to. But I mean, right then and there, that's like, holy shit, you really feel bad because this kid had a fucked up traumatic child experience. Right. And then he goes on to this orphanage with Mother Superior, and she's just an absolute bitch and says, we're always caught when we're naughty and shit like that. And like, you can tell, by the time you get to when he's working in the department store and the 80s montage, which is completely, I love how it's in there because it doesn't fit.
That friggin' music is awesome. Amazing music. I loved it.
It is. It's like, oh, we're going to be the Breakfast Club for 5 minutes, but it's, oh my God, it's so great. And then basically they give him the Santa suit because the guy doesn't show up, and they're like, you know what to do. And obviously he didn't. So, I mean, yes, you can totally I felt sympathetic for this character.
I did too.
Because you've seen what he's been through. And I think what a point to that could be is sometimes innocent people die, because of this, because of innocent people that are kind of shaped and formed to become killers. Right. And I think that's what's so damn scary about it. It's like nobody's safe. Nobody's off limits, he will kill whoever the hell stands before him. And that's because of all his, his fucked up past.
Right.
And I think that really, really works here. I think the actor does a good job too, which people usually shit on him, but I like.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. I mean, because this is the first thing he ever did. I mean, he never.
Wow,
he just kind of came off the street. Somebody said, "Hey, you should go audition," and he's like, "I don't, whatever." Like somebody gave him a card on the street, kind of like that story you always hear. Hey, you look like an actor. You should be an actor. And then he called the guy, and the guy sent him out on this audition, and he got it. So yeah, it's the first time. And one of the things he says in the there's like a 45-minute documentary on the disc, which I didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing, but he says that the lady who played Mother Superior, and I'm gonna forget her name. Lillian Chauvin, I guess is her name. She is actually a acting teacher. So he said it was great to have her there because she said, "Hey, do you want to go over lines? Do you want to, block this out? All those kind of things." So it was really nice for him for his first experience to have somebody like her on set. But yeah, I mean, I thought he did a really, really good job. And I did want to go back to the little boy, at the very beginning, the little boy. I thought he was really, really good. You know what I mean? He was kind of cheesy but good at the same time. So I really dug that about the little boy in this. Grandpa obviously was hilarious. And I wanted to talk about, I didn't want to skip over this for any guys out there. The mom's hot. And he rips her top off. So that that's one thing. And she's really, really good looking. So I didn't want to, I just wanted to tell people that. So because I really think that, and the reason I bring stuff like that up in this situation is I really think that Charles Sellier, who's the guy that directed this movie, really knew what he was doing. Man, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he was a fantastic director, but he knew what this new movie needed, don't you think? I mean, what do you see? 3 or 4, sets of boobs, and I mean, there's some sex scenes and there's some violence. There's there's a graphic scene we'll get into here in a minute. But I mean, there's not a lot of blood, and it's not super graphic, but it's enough. You know what I mean? And all these things together. There's drama. There's boobs, blood, and mayhem. The guy just knew what he was doing. He knew
exactly.
And I think it works.
He knew the formula. It's similar like Joe Zito.
Exactly.
Like people tell you Joe Zito's not a good director. But at the same time, he understood the formula of a slasher movie when he made The Prowler. He understood the formula of a slasher movie when he made Friday the 13th Final Chapter. Absolutely. He understood what he was doing. It's not going to change. Slashers are never going to change the world with their plots. They're never. Right. They're usually just convenient, simplistic, they're not too much to think about. They're just pretty much fun and you're going to see some good-looking women, you're going to see some crazy gore effects and kills, and you're going to laugh a lot. That's what this movie is, and it really, I know it does play self-seriously. I really do think that.
Sure.
But I think at the same time, he knew what he was going for. I think he was a big reason as to why this movie worked.
Yeah.
I think at times the writing can be a little cheesy in this one, but I enjoy it, man. I really do.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. There's something about this movie. I think there's a charm to it.
Oh yeah.
Like there's just like I've always what I think is the best part about this movie is that final kind of scene that final, I guess, 20 minutes of when he's gonna go to the church to kill Mother Superior, and like he goes through those kids on the sleds. Like, oh my god, like that is some funny, awesome, classic horror movie stuff. Like that, I remember the first day I had Instagram, I was watching this movie and I posted that scene, and like people were, and I laughed my ass off like in the video, and people were like, "You are the craziest motherfucker."
You are demented. Well, that's true though. We are a little demented. But yeah, that scene, that scene right there that's I mean, that's one of the ones that kind of goes in the canon of classic slasher scenes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know, because this is another situation where this movie kind of hit a nerve, because not a ton of slasher movies take place in the winter. You know what I mean? So that's another really, really cool thing that makes this movie popular with people, is it's something that you can put on around Christmas time, not only because it's Christmas related, but, you know, I mean, you see the snow, you know, it can get you ready for the Christmas holiday. Again, people probably think we're demented by saying that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things people love about this movie is, you know, you kind of got, you got Black Christmas, you have this, and I'm trying to think, can you think of anything else that plays the winter role in a slasher? Because I can't think of anything else. So, you know, I mean, I know you have, I'm drawing a blank.
There's like
Don't
Christmas
Open Before
Evil.
Christmas and Christmas Evil, all those kind of things.
Better Watch Out.
Right. But this one, I think, is the ultimate when you think of wintertime slasher movies, don't you think?
Yes, this is like I don't consider Black Christmas a slasher. I think Black Christmas is like so much more than just a slasher.
I agree.
So I would say this is like the quintessential Christmas slasher. Like this is like the Friday the 13th equivalent of a Christmas slasher horror movie. Like this is that good in my opinion.
Yeah. You know, and you know, you talked about the montage of when he first starts at the toy store. The toy store is it's a very it has a duality to it. You know what I mean? It has that, oh, this is fun, this is Christmas time, this is where the toys were. Oh, look, there's the Smurf stuff, and there's, you know, stuff that I remember from being a kid, you know what I mean? And I'm sure you do too. You can see the Smurfs and G.I. Joe and all that kind of stuff. But it also, when it's empty, or, you know, there's not a lot of things going on, it's pretty creepy, you know, with all the nutcrackers and, you know, the moving Santa Clauses and the clowns, and you know what I mean? So it has both sides of that, don't you think?
Yeah, you could. It's proof that you can take something that's so holier than thou and so innocent, and you can make it sinister. And that's something that it's not easy to do, but when you do it, it can really speak volumes, and it can really work effectively.
Yeah. It made me think, you know, when they showed the nutcrackers and all those things, it made me think of Tourist Trap. I'm sure you remember that movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I always thought that movie was so creepy, with, you know, mannequins with missing arms, and, you know, their jaws are moving and they were laughing. I don't know. That shit creeps me out. Like, that would probably be a nightmare of mine that, you know, I wouldn't want to be involved in. You know, I wouldn't want to be in a you know, a clothing store at night where the mannequins are killing people or something like. I don't know. Maybe I should write that. Huh?
Yeah, that sounds like a good one.
Yeah, but what did you think about the you know, after, I guess I should explain to people, after the store closes down for the last, you know, for Christmas Eve, you know, the last day before Christmas, and, you know, the Mr. Sims, who kind of runs the place, I don't know if he owns it or not, but he says, you know, now it's time to get shit faced or something like that, and they kind of have this little party going on. What did you think about all? Did you? I'm sure you enjoyed all that, but what did you think about the kills and things that went on there?
Oh, I love the Christmas lights kill. I always thought was really, really funny and clever.
What about that dude? What about that dude? What was his name? Tommy? I can't remember.
I think so.
Yeah. What did you like? He was a dick too, wasn't he?
Oh, absolutely, he was a dick. But I always thought it was weird that he like saved her, and then she was like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
You
Yeah.
know? And I was like, he just saved you from being raped. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, she completely gave him the cold shoulder after he saved her, and then he murdered her.
Right. I guess she did kind of deserve it then, didn't she? She was kind of a bitch afterwards. You're crazy. I didn't want you to kill him. I just wanted you to kick him in the nuts. What was she expecting? I don't know. Yeah, I was, and that chick was hot too, wasn't she?
Yeah, like I said, there were a lot of good-looking women in this movie.
Yeah, I liked her also. So, but yeah, that kill, the kill with where he just wraps the lights around that dude's Tommy's neck and just holds him up in the air like he's had some kind of superhuman strength or something. Wasn't he?
Yeah, he's channeling his inner Michael Myers from Halloween 2.
right,
exactly. Kill.
Yeah. So, and then he kills the girl, which I'm drawing a blank on her name, but anyways, he kills her with a box cutter, right? Stabs her in the stomach and slices her up. And that was, I don't think the effects definitely weren't, on show here. You know what I mean? It wasn't it wasn't Tom Savini or anybody like, you know what I'm saying? But they were good, and they were cut well and they edited well, don't you think?
Yeah, I think the gore looked pretty decent for the gore they showed. I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah, and then you have Mr. Sims, who again, he's kind of another one who doesn't really deserve to die. You know what I mean? He was kind of an innocent guy. He gave him a job when he didn't really want to give him a job, and and he took the claw end of a hammer to the head, which is very I mean, it's kind of cliche, but it's just classic. It's just classic. And I like that dude. What was his name? He's another one. Britt Leach, which he was in a lot of things when I was a kid, TV shows, and he was in a few movies like The Great Outdoors and things like that. But he was kind of a little-known guy, too. He's in Weird Science and The Last Starfighter, which was directed by Nick Castle, by the way, who played Michael Myers in the original Friday the 13th. Anyways.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah. Oh, he died?
Oh, shit. Nick Castle didn't die? I thought Nick Castle was dead.
No, he's still alive. He's still alive.
I'm sorry, everybody.
No, you're right.
I was always under the impression that he died.
No, he's still kicking as far as IMDb knows.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but he directed a few movies too. But yeah, that's funny. Are you a psychic? Or you have a premonition?
No, I'm not. I don't know why. I just always thought he had passed on. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking.
but yeah, I really like Britt Leach as Mr. Sims. I thought the character was pretty good. I mean, he's he's just a character actor, but I always thought he was pretty good. And like I said, he takes a hammer to the head, and then I said all those to get to the stalking scene, and I don't remember the lady's name. What was her name? That he chased around the store.
Oh, and he shot her with the arrow?
Yeah.
That's classic, too.
It went from, pretty simple kills. He hits him in the head with a hammer, he stabs her in the stomach, he hangs him up with lights, to this old drunk lady kind of gives him a hard time. Mrs. Randall, I think is who it is. And he gives her a hard time. Or she gives him a hard time. Everybody else is, the young guy's easy to kill, the older guy's easy to kill, the young girl's easy to kill, but the older lady, he's got to hunt her around the store, and she kind of, she knocks him over, and he, isn't he, he's doing some kind of nursery rhyme, isn't he?
I don't really know what it was.
I can't remember what it was, but yeah, he's saying a nursery rhyme as he's stalking her down, and she knocks him over, and she grabs the obviously not a real axe. You know what I mean? They handled that axe like it was a toothpick. You know what I mean? I thought that was funny. But that happens in every horror movie. But then she almost gets away. She takes the axe and she's going to break the window out. And
she decides not to break the window.
Right, right. She's like, I'm not going to do it on the door. I don't want to have to pay for that. But she's going to break the other window. And all of a sudden, he comes out with a real bow and arrow. What the fuck? Like this isn't a an outdoor store or something like that. This is a toy store, and he shoots the arrow through her back. But I really like that scene. I loved everything that happened in there. I don't know. It worked for me. Everything that happened in that toy store worked for me.
Yeah, I think all the kills in this movie work to this day, and I think they all hold up. I love, for sure. Obviously, the sledding kill is my favorite. But then again, the Linnea Quigley kill where Linnea Quigley and this guy are about to have sex, and he kind of comes to the door and then just bursts through the door and hangs Linnea Quigley, impales her on these pair of antlers. I always thought that was an iconic shot to see her, and then he kills the other guy. It's really, really, I love all the kills in this movie.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the uncut version of this?
I own the double feature, so I'm not sure.
I don't know if
my version's uncut or not.
Yeah, I own that one too, and I'm not sure. I don't think it is uncut. But the reason that I ask is the uncut version comes with the Scream Factor. There's the theatrical version and the uncut version, and the uncut version is VHS quality. The scenes that they put back in are VHS quality, so they're not Blu-ray quality. But anyways, there's a scene where it shows it kind of lingers on Linnea hanging from the antlers for probably a good 5 or 6 seconds, and I thought that the scene again, you get wrapped up in how hot Linnea Quigley was, and she's struggling, you know what I mean? But then it really turns, like you said, sinister when it shows this scene, which they actually cut from the original theatrical release, which we also need to talk about too. But yeah, it's really, really interesting. You gotta pick that Scream Factory up. I think you can get it pretty cheap on Amazon right now for, I don't know, like $18 or something like that. Definitely pick that up to watch that cut. It's actually pretty interesting.
How does the movie look on Blu-ray? I was interested to ask you, because I think this movie looks pretty good just in regular standard depth. Yeah. So I would think the Blu-ray would look great.
Well, I kind of am torn a little bit. I think it looks fantastic. Okay, the VHS quality parts, you definitely can tell a difference. But I'm kind of a sucker for the way it used to look on a regular old tube TV on VHS. You know what I mean? So, but it looks really, really good. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a side of me that says, man, I want to see this on an old tube TV, like I used to. And then the other one's like, I really want to see this looking like a new movie. You know what I mean? And, they don't ever really look that great. I mean, they don't look like a brand spanking new movie, but they look pretty damn good. And this one's no exception. It really does look good. It really does.
Oh, cool. That's good to hear, because, I don't know, I've always been a little bit bigger of a fan of the sequel. For reasons we can get into, but this one I certainly love as well. I think this is a really, really good one. So what did you think of how I really liked, obviously, the sledding scene? I thought that was classic. Yep. These two bullies, kicking these kids, taking their sleds and kicking them off where they were, and then obviously getting their comeuppance just a few seconds later from old. I mean, that's some of the most classic slasher stuff ever. What did you think of how the kind of finale was done in this movie when he goes to kill Mother Superior and the cop shows up? And because I always thought that was a really tension filled, really well done finale. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was great, and the reason that the ending is one of the reasons that makes me feel like this may and people are going to want to sacrifice me, but this may not be a slasher movie. Because I don't think anywhere in this movie is he hunting, other than Mrs. Randall, is he really hunting people down? And I have a hard time saying that, because I definitely consider, this is in that group, but I don't know if I consider it a slasher, because, okay, and to get back to your ending question, the ending of this, like you said, is very reminiscent of a thriller, or I don't know whatever you want to call it, a thriller, because I don't know, Billy's on a mission, you know what I mean, and I don't know if that is necessarily to me at least what a slasher's all, where they're looking for one person in particular to kill. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's a little bit out of the ordinary in a good way. I definitely don't think it's bad, but it definitely seems maybe like a TV thriller to me at that point. And again, I say that with respect. I love old TV thriller movies. You know what I mean? I don't want anybody to think, oh God, I'm not going to see that now, because it's not really, I don't. That's not my intent, is to make you not want to see it. But I just want to let people know that this is not a typical slasher movie. The end of this movie is really good. It's kind of abrupt. It's kind of, but most slasher movies are, and endings are hard. You and I have talked about that in the past. Endings are really, really hard. So, a lot of people feel like they want to see more, of this particular story. They don't, obviously they're sequels, but they want to see this particular story. And I kind of agree with that. I would like to have seen it done a little bit better, and maybe even say a Halloween Part 2 deal. You know what I mean? Something like that, where we finish the story off at, in another movie. I don't know. What do you think?
I know what you're saying, like when you say that the ending is more like a thriller. It is. It doesn't feel like a slasher finale. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if I can agree when you say you don't know if this is a slasher. Like, this is a slasher movie. This is the way I've always felt. I mean, you have, like we said, boobs, blood, and mayhem. a lot of people getting killed, and you know, glorious ways. So this is to me the definition of a slasher movie. But I do know what you're trying to say with like you're right. The ending is very unslasher like, but I always thought it was really done well. I like how that cop is kind of looking around for him, and you're not sure where our lead character is, and then I think he goes into that kind of basement, and then he just pops up out of nowhere and gets him with the axe. I mean, I thought that's classic, like slasher stuff. That's just stalk and slash, you know. And I liked how they shot down the one Santa. They thought it was him, and they killed him, and it was just like this regular guy playing Santa for all these kids.
Right.
And
he happened to be deaf.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Classic 80s shit, man.
Right.
But I always loved that scene where he stares down Mother Superior, and I think everybody is just cannot wait for this bitch to die. Like this is the woman, this is what you've been waiting for the entire movie, and she does not get killed. It's like, I remember I always was like, son of a
disappointed.
Bitch. I was like, this is the one woman I wanted to see die.
Hell yeah.
And in the second movie where she does die, they actually change actresses. And it always bothered me. I remember my friend Jonathan and I watched this. We were both bothered. We were like, oh, it would be better if it was the same actress.
Right.
You know, because we wanted that bitch to get her comeuppance, and she never really does. So it definitely leaves you wanting something, because I think the one thing this movie does miss is I think that character, she should die. Yeah, he should kill her and then just get shot down or something, like trying to give somebody a present or something. Yeah. Like I thought that would have been the way I ended it. But like you said, endings are hard.
Yeah.
But I do think it's done really, really well, and I think it has a lot of heart to it.
It does.
There's something like when those two kind of lock eyes, and she holds the kids behind her, and I think she starts saying like, "You will be punished. You will be punished," or whatever. And like he's just like, yeah, and oh man, like that is some epic shit. I really, really like how that's delivered and portrayed here.
Yeah.
I think this is, man. I really, really enjoy the finale of this movie, and I think I would say this is on like a classic slasher level for me. I really, really enjoy this movie.
Yeah, I agree. This is definitely one you watch at least once a year, and usually around this time. But I wanted to talk about, I'm kind of going back here, but I thought there was a classic two lines in this movie. And it's when Linnea and that dude, I don't remember his name, they're making out, they're getting ready to have sex. And the little girl, she's watching a little girl, I don't know if it's her sister or whatever, but she's starting to come downstairs. And Linnea says, "Samantha, if you don't go back to bed, Santa won't come." And the dude says, "He ain't the only one." I always thought that was hilarious. I think we need to do that, man. Both of us need to have a line of the movie every episode now, our favorite line from the movie. Because that line right there is absolutely 1,000% classic. And, it just reminds me of so many dudes I knew, I don't know. I just thought that was hilarious. I remember talking about it as a kid. We thought that was funny, because he was talking about, coming, and we were all like, oh, we were 13 years old, oh, I can't believe he said that, of course, So I thought that, I always thought,
so good to be young, right?
Yeah, I know, right? It's young and stupid, but
yeah, it's the best. But what would you rate this one out of 10? What's your rating?
Oh man, I would say for sure this is a top 10 movie for me, and I still consider this movie a slasher, so I'll say a top 10 slasher movie for me for sure. I would probably give this a solid 7.5, maybe more, maybe an 8, depending on the day.
Yeah, I'll go with you. I think 7.5 is perfect rating for this movie. Just an awesome slasher, and I think it's aged pretty well as well.
Absolutely.
Like I don't think this is a movie that shows much age or anything. But I do think it holds up, man. I think it's a good flick.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think obviously, younger people who, if you were to introduce this to younger people, they'd probably notice some of the clothes and things like that. But there's not a ton of, it's not it's not, say, prom night or something like that where they're they're in suits and sequins and they're dancing with a disco ball. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's anything. And listen, I love prom night. Prom Night's an awesome slasher movie. I don't want anybody to think I don't love that movie, because I do. But it doesn't hold up as well as this one does, because there's not a lot of that kind of thing in it. They're not really worried about fashion. They're not showing off the cars and those kind of things. So yeah, I agree with you. I think this movie holds up really, really well. And if you haven't seen it, you definitely. I mean, I'd run out. I'm sure it's on YouTube if you want to watch it for free.
Yeah, and fun fact before we wrap up here. This movie actually came out the same week as the original Nightmare on Elm Street did. And I think it actually beat Elm Street the first week. I don't think Elm Street really got big until 2 or 3 weeks into its run.
Right.
So I always thought that was interesting.
Very
that
interesting.
This and that came out the same week, and this actually beat it. But only to be taken. It was taken out of theaters because of these protests and whatnot. And then that pretty much opened the door for Elm Street. So it's pretty interesting to me to see if this movie does not get taken out of theaters, would Elm Street have made the noise that it did?
Exactly.
It always makes you wonder, or would it have been like a hidden gem that would have been discovered years later by people like you and me?
Right. Or listen, maybe the people who went to the theater to see this movie and realized it wasn't there. How many of them went to see Nightmare on Elm Street? You know what I mean? And of course, we're definitely not giving credit for the success of A Nightmare on Elm Street to this, but who knows what could have... You know how fickle people are. You know how fickle the masses are. You know what I mean? If they went to see, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and it wasn't out, they could have went home and and A Nightmare on Elm Street could, maybe wouldn't be as big as it is now. Do I believe that? No, I don't. I mean, people love A Nightmare on Elm Street so much, but like you said, who knows, right? Very, very interesting that they both came out at the same
I always
time.
thought it was an interesting timeline to see that these two came out right together. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool little fun fact. So, but yeah, two really, really good movies too. Not to discredit either one of them.
Sure, absolutely. This movie made almost $1.5 million its opening weekend,
That's insane.
Yeah, 1984. That's a lot of money. And not to mention, its budget was only $1,065,000. So it blew its budget out of the water in one weekend. And it's had a ton of success on on VHS and DVD and now on Blu-ray. I'm sure it's going to have a ton of success. So this is definitely one of them classics, man. I definitely think it needs to go up there with with at least the second tier, if not the first. Don't you think?
Oh, definitely. I think this is a first tier slasher. This is the go-to holiday slasher for 100 different reasons. But I love this movie. This is a really, really good one. And I don't know when or if we'll discuss the sequel upcoming, but sure. I mean, that is another great movie as well, because it is just an absolute so bad it's classic movie. It's great. I always loved the legendary Eric Freeman. And obviously it has about 45 minutes of this movie in that movie.
Right. So it's at least half a classic, right?
Yeah. You have half classic, and then you have half Eric Freeman, who's he's above classic.
Right. Well, that movie is a classic for another reason. It's kind of like Troll 2 classic. You know what I mean? So anybody, and it doesn't surprise me that to find out that you kind of enjoy the second one a little bit more than the first one, because you like the Sleepaway Camp sequels and things like that. So anybody who enjoys John's kind of opinion on movies, and they they kind of agree with him, definitely go out and check out the second one of these, because we'll talk about it for sure. I don't know if we could do a whole episode. You think we could do a whole episode on two?
Yeah, I don't know if we could. That's the thing.
Maybe
we could probably do a whole episode on that movie, and then briefly discussing the other three.
Yeah, there you go.
The other three are all fucking horrible.
Hey, Mickey Rooney's in one of them, man.
Actually, okay, yeah. The Mickey Rooney one is okay. There's the third one is with Bill Moseley.
Yeah.
And he's got a fucking bucket on his head through the whole movie, and he's trying to kill this blind chick.
Yeah,
And then the fourth one has nothing to do with Christmas.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. It's easily the worst one. I think Brian Usna directed it, and it is abysmal. It's one of my top 10 worst movies ever.
Yeah,
Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 4, and then the fifth one is really terrible, but it's awesome because Mickey Rooney's in it. Right. I think it's called The Toy Maker.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that after this first movie, that they would just go on a money grab like they did. And I know this is a whole other topic, but that's kind of sad.
Yeah, how does
you know
this
what I mean?
movie have 5 sequels? Like,
Right.
it's so crazy.
Right. Well, especially 5 sequels like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you only really have one sequel that has anything really to do with the first one.
Right.
Like, I mean, I know the third one is technically the same character from part 2, but it doesn't feel like a sequel to part 2. It just feels like a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and then 4 and 5 have nothing to do with anything. Like, I don't understand even why, but I think we could totally do an episode on those 4, but I mean, I don't know how much fun that would be, because
right.
3 of the 4, or at least 2 of the 4 are pretty unwatchable movies.
Yeah. So if there's anybody out there who really enjoys the sequels, say 3 through 5, any of those, please explain it to us. Explain to us.
Oh my god,
you know
I
what
would
mean?
love if someone likes Silent Night Part 4, like they are like a different kind of person.
Different
breed. I
breed.
don't know how you could like that movie in all sincerity. Like, I like Silent Deadly Night Part 2 because it has like the best parts of the first one.
Right.
It's basically the first movie condensed to 45 minutes, and then it's this crazy bad acting by Eric Freeman with these eyebrow movements and shit, and it's so funny and so poorly made that it's like you have half of a classic and you have half of this movie that is so bad it's wonderful.
Right.
It's just this perfect crescendo of awesomeness and shittiness coming together with this classic umbrella kill that has to be seen to be believed.
Yeah, so if that's not a total endorsement, right?
Oh my god, I love that movie. But I won't lie, I usually watch these as a double feature.
Yeah.
And if I don't watch them as a double feature, I'll just throw on part 2 because you have so many parts from part 1 in it. So.
Right. So if anybody's getting some friends together and, they enjoy horror movies and you haven't seen part 2, definitely rip that son of a bitch out. And if you're of drinking age, get out the alcohol and play a drinking game because it's definitely a good time.
Take a shot every time Eric Freeman raises his eyebrows. You'll be drunk 10 minutes into the fucking movie.
Well, I think we all know eyebrows is acting, so...
Yes, it is. It is. Eric Freeman is like legendary to me. Like, that is one of my favorite performances. This is so classic.
Crazy, absolutely crazy. All right, man. Well, I think we're gonna have to end this. I gotta do some things before the weekend starts. So I think we'll definitely talk about what we're gonna do next. If anybody has any suggestions or anything, let us know. You can reach us at flashbackhorrormoviepodcast@gmail.com. Check us out on Facebook, Flashback Horror Movie Podcast. Also, I wanted to mention I'm getting a lot of shout-outs from a group that I belong to on Facebook called The Horror Stop. So, Ralph, I wanted to say hi to you. And, anybody who's interested in joining a group, go on, check them out. They're really cool people because they like Flashback Horror Movie Podcast. So,
that's always good to hear.
Yeah, it's always nice to hear. So, anything else you want to talk about, man, before we go?
No, that's about it, brother. I'm actually a little busy myself today.
Okay, cool. All right, brother. Well, I'll be in touch, and I hope you have a good rest of your weekend, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next and when we're going to do it.
You too, my man. Sounds great.
All right, take it easy. Peace.
You too, brother. Peace.